So the question is the inexpensive, simple, classic Shure SM57 capable of recording album quality vocal tracks? Well, the answer is simple. Yes, it is. And not only is it capable, it might be the only vocal mic that you really need. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I recorded vocal tracks that sound like this. And I can't fathom why. Not only with the Shure SM57, but also in my unfinished, untreated basement. Let's dive into it. Hello, Bobby Torres of Frightbox Recording here, and welcome to Frightbox Goes Gorilla, where we produce pro-level results using basic utilitarian style gear within unexpected environments. Now, something that I've taken notice of is that people tend to obsess about vocal quality, and rightly so. Vocals are the most important part of any production, at least any production that features vocals. The sad thing is, most people think you need an expensive vocal mic, a high-end preamp, maybe even some outboard gear, perfect acoustic treatment. And in reality, this couldn't be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, if you have just a basic 2-channel USB interface or 1-channel USB interface, even a cheap one, and something like a Shure SM57 or an SM58 or some other dynamic microphone, you can produce pro-level vocal tracks even if you're recording in like a basement or a bedroom or a living room or any other non-studio environment. The true secret is you just have to know how to do it. And that's what I'm going to share with you in this video. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I'm producing these results with an SM57, one of my favorite microphones. In today's video, I'll be recording vocals with Sarah Dolan of the band Raising Arizona. And I'm going for a pristine, super polished vocal sound. Just because I'm using something inexpensive doesn't mean that these results can't be achieved. So first, I'm going to share with you the gear, the setup, then we'll get to recording, and then I'll dive deep into the tracks within my DAW and share with you the secrets to making the raw vocals sound polished, pro, and album quality. Let's dive into it. All right, well, here we are. Here is my fancy studio setup with my Shure SM57. The first thing I want to mention, like I mentioned earlier in the video, you do not need fancy acoustic treatment. That is a complete myth. Just record your vocals somewhere that's relatively dead. I mean, this is just a corner of my basement, my semi-finished basement. It's not even really a finished basement, it's semi-finished. And it's kind of dead down here. I have a carpet and a couch, and it's dead enough. The thing is, when you're recording with a dynamic mic, it's not gonna be as sensitive as a condenser mic, so it's gonna be a little more forgiving. So not only is an SM57 a nice, affordable option, it's really forgiving when it comes to the sound of the room. Just record in a somewhat dead space. The second tip, if you're using an SM57, is to use a pop filter. Now, this is a $12 pop filter. In my experience, 57s, if you get too close to the capsule or the front of the mic, you can end up with some pee-pops and some poppy sounds. A simple pop filter will get you way closer to that nice, pristine condenser microphone type of sound. It just cleans up a lot of those plosives, and it works really, really, really well. I'm serious, I can easily record every vocal track for the rest of my life with this microphone, and I'll be happy. Anything outside of this is sort of like icing on top of the icing on top of the icing of the cake. So super straightforward, SM57 with the pop filter on a mic stand, and the 57 is plugged right in, straight into my 2-channel Motu M2 USB interface. I bought this interface for around $120. It's USB powered, and it is great. I'm not sponsored by Motu. I just think they make great stuff. I have 2 different independent 48-volt fan of power controls or on-off switches, an independent headphone out volume, which is awesome. And that is the other thing. I have her headphones plugged right into the headphone out on the interface. Super simple. I mean, this is a budget setup here. The computer is a 2012 MacBook Pro, which is laughable by today's standards, but it runs sessions very well. And my monitors are PreSonus Aries 3.5s that I turn off while I'm tracking the vocal, and when we listen back, I turn them back on. That's it. That is my entire setup here. The magic is really in the SM57 and the processing that I'm gonna do in the mix, and also the fact that Sarah is a great singer. So with that being said, let's get Sarah in here and let's track the song. All right, so I'm gonna play a little bit of music. Let me know if it's too loud, quiet, if it's cool.
Okay, now it's perfect.
It's good? Okay. All right, we've wrapped up tracking for the vocals for the song, and I'm super happy with the way that the vocals have turned out. Now, there are secrets to getting an SM57 to sound professional within a mix, and in order to get it to sound like a high-end condenser microphone. Two of those things I mentioned earlier. One is just using a pop filter, which will cost you no more than $12 if you get a cheap one, which is the one I was using. The other thing is to record in a nice dead-ish space. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just relatively dead. And the other two things, outside of recording a great vocalist, actually has to do with the way you process the vocals. And that's what I'm gonna share in this part of the video. And the good news is you have access to these tools. As a matter of fact, the stock tools in your DAW will do the job just fine. So one common pushback, I guess you could say, that I get when I mention this to people is people will say, well, yeah, dynamic mic works great for death metal, but what happens if you're recording like delicate vocals or like a real singer or someone that can actually sing well? The truth is, it doesn't matter. I don't care if I'm recording someone going or if I'm recording Celine Dion. An SM57 will do just fine. So this song is very dynamic. There's a loud chorus, a loud second verse, and there's a very delicate intro. Let's take a listen to the intro for a second.
Missing you was never easy, and needing you was always there.
Listen to the top end on her vocal. It's really silky. Everything is super clear. It's pretty warm sounding. I'm happy with it. Let's keep listening.
I was forced to grow up young and learn quickly life's not fair.
And again, remember, this was recorded in my crappy basement with an inexpensive SM57 right into my cheap USB interface, right into my DAW. No expensive microphone, no unnecessary outboard gear or fancy pants preamps, none of that crap. You don't need any of that. On some of my other videos, people have said, well, that's fine if you're recording a good vocalist. What happens if I'm not a great vocalist? Well, I have bad news for you. A fancy microphone is not gonna make you sound great. A fancy microphone might be a little more bright in the top end. It might be a little more crisp, but you can easily fix that and achieve that in the mix if you understand how to EQ vocals. And that's the first thing. Let's jump into the chorus. Now, if we look at my EQ here, I'm rolling off all frequencies below around 140 Hertz. I'm using a low shelf filter to really reduce a lot of the lower mids. And I'm boosting a little bit at 10K and notching out a little bit at 2K. The overall idea here is that I'm removing the muck that's not necessary in the vocal track. I've noticed with home studio producers, a lot of them tend to overdo the processing on the 2 bus or the master bus, and then they underdo the processing on the vocal when it should be the complete reverse. Let's hear this vocal track without those cuts, without the EQ.
And I can't fathom why, I wonder why.
The EQ makes the vocals sound instantly more professional, and it really cleans up the SM57. Now, full disclosure, even if you're using a Neumann into like a, I don't know, a Neve preamp and an 1176 compressor or something, you're still gonna have to EQ your vocals pretty heavily. So again, EQ your vocals and don't be scared of removing the frequencies that you don't need. The next thing is to not be scared of compression. And to be honest with you, this applies to any vocal track. I actually have 3 compressors on her vocal. And let's look at what's happening in each of these 3 compressors.
And I can't fathom why. I wonder why. And I can't fathom why you left me.
Yeah, so I have like 3 to 6 dB in this compressor, around 12 dB in this compressor, and 6 dB in this compressor. So we're looking at like, I don't know, 24 dB of gain reduction or something like that. Do not be scared of vocal compression. I hear this all the time. People will send me their mixes and the vocals are all over the place. That extra bit of compression stacked throughout multiple plugins will instantly make your home recorded vocal a lot more controlled and a lot more professional sounding. Whether it's an SM57, SM58, or a Neumann U87, it doesn't matter. And the final tip here is actually a bonus tip. Now, again, these vocals were not recorded in a pro studio with nice analog gear. It was just my microphone plugged right into my interface. So the vocal track is gonna be really, 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 really clean. Too clean. So when it comes to vocal tracks, you're gonna wanna add some form of saturation. And in this case, I'm just using a stock saturator in my DAW. I know that the distortion and saturation in Reaper and Logic and Cubase is just as good or better than what I'm using here. Just add a subtle amount of saturation and that'll make it sound like your vocals were recorded through a nice preamp with a little bit of color, maybe through a console, whatever. The overarching idea is that you're adding a little bit of an analog film and haze around the sterile vocal recording. It really saddens me when people will contact me and say, I'm not happy with my guitar tone. I hate the way my vocals sound. I'm thinking about buying, this piece of gear and upgrading to this computer and DAW. Maybe I need analog outboard gear. Maybe that'll fix my problems. Unfortunately, none of this is going to help you. The secret to achieving a pro-level production is to understand the techniques and workflows that pros actually use. The good news for you is that it doesn't matter what gear you're using. As a matter of fact, you can greatly improve your results with the gear you already have. I don't want you wasting any more time. I want you to achieve better results today. And this is why I'm giving you direct access to my free training, 4 dead simple ways to massively improve your recordings and mixes. In this exclusive training, I show you my #1 technique for prepping heavy guitar tracks that virtually mix themselves. I also show you how you can create instantaneous clarity within your mix using any old stock EQ plugin. I also show you how you can take control over the levels within your mix so that instruments stop fighting each other within your mix. And then finally, I dive deep and show you how to craft radio-ready vocal mixes using only stock plugins. Now, full disclosure, I'm gonna be honest here. If you're one of these people that's on TikTok scrolling all day and you have the attention span of a squirrel, please don't waste your time. This training is really in-depth. It's almost an hour long, and it's only meant for people who are serious, like I was, when it comes to producing pro-level results within their studio. The training is absolutely free right now, and you can have direct access by clicking the link below in this video's description. Now, my new studio is currently being designed and I am studioless, so I am stuck recording at home like everyone else, but that doesn't have to stop you. As a matter of fact, if you're looking to record pro-level drum tracks at your house, check out this video. In the video, I share with you how I recorded pro-level album quality drum tracks in my crappy bare bones garage. And until next time, drink that Spindrift.